Alright, welcome. We have officially started a live stream. We are going to begin here in about 5 minutes. I'm going to take a few minutes here and share the video on a couple of different Facebook groups. See if we can get some people joining in. So we will begin. Please bear with me. Let's see here. So I do have the chat feature enabled. So yeah, be sure to say hi in the chat room. Like to see who is tying along or following along. Once again, we'll be getting started here in about 3 minutes. 3 minutes. We got a double feature coming to you today. Gonna tie up two different patterns. Gonna do a small fly, and we're gonna do a big fly. Double feature. Alright, well, if you're just joining me, we're going to begin here in about 2.5 minutes. Got my countdown timer counting the start time. 6 o'clock, that's when I kick things off. Gives me a few moments to make sure all streams are working and the input and the output, they're all working together. That is all of them. All right. Turn the heater off. It's plenty warm here in the basement. It's been pretty cold here. Today was the first day in a few days we got into the positive single digits. Happy New Year's. Hope your first week of 2017 has been a good one. So, yeah. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. Good day to tie some flies. Cold weather brings on the desire to create warm thoughts. I haven't really thought of a topic to talk about, but I'm sure we can wing it as usual. So here we go, standing by to kick off the second Talk and Tie live stream of the year. Hello and welcome to Veterans View for You. This is a Talk and Tie. And tonight is a double feature. We're going to be tying two flies up. The first one, I have these both available on the Fast Forward playlist, Fast Forward Fly playlist. This is a Mercury Flashback Pheasant tail. Kind of having trouble getting into focus here. There we go. Anyways, this is tied up on a size 18. It's a small fly. For this, I'm using a Mustad number 9671. I believe it is a 2x long, and I think it might even be a 3x high, which means the gap, I guess, is a little bit more pronounced. It's a good solid hook. I think it will offer decent hookability for the fish. So, first thing to go on is our bead head. And I found that throwing the hook in the vise like so, and then just pushing down on the bead on your finger is enough to get it to stick there. And you can usually just pop it in. Got a little bound up there on the barb, but usually you just pop that down and it works. There we go. I am not feeling comfortable with the way this is situated. I gotta slide this over, folks, just a little bit and bring that into focus. Alright, here we go. Now, where did my thread go? Cast on our thread. I'm using a black 8/0 uni thread. Pretty standard, pretty cut and dry. Nothing fancy or fantastic about it. It's a good thread. Cast that on about halfway down on the shank, and we will tie in some copper wire. This is a standard UTC brand copper wire. You know, it says the size on it is a BR. I don't know what that nomenclature is actually representing. I don't know if that stands for bright or what. But this being a pheasant tail, it would be appropriate to tie in some pheasant tail. And on this one, we are going for 4 fibers, 4 little fibers of pheasant tail on here. And we want our tail not to be longer than a shank's length. So I am just going to do 2 turns, and then I will shorten that up because it's kind of difficult to hold that in place. So 4 turns, and then I'm going to bring my thread forward up behind the bead. Now there's a good chance that one of these fibers might snap or break. If that's the case, I have a little technique I figured out how to tie that back in. But being very careful, especially here on the first few wraps, you really want to make sure that these fibers don't break. And I found, I don't know, it's kind of the smush and mash roll method. I can, apply some pressure on the fibers and just kind of roll it over with my pointer finger by pushing it down on the shank of the hook. There's probably 1,000% chance you would screw this up if you're using hackle pliers or anything to really grab onto these pheasant tail fibers. And right off the get-go, I'm going to kind of split these down, one on either side, and work my thread back because I'm going to tie in some additional material for a thorax. Excuse me. I'm going to counter wrap my copper wire. And I have my copper wire on a bobbin. It's just more for material management purposes. It's a broken bobbin. It doesn't have a neck or anything on it, but it gives me a little bit more control of it as it comes off the spool. I really don't spool it off. It's just more of a device to hold. I got big fingers, and that way I don't waste any copper by working with a 6-inch length or whatever, because when you're done you're gonna always have extra. Be a frugal tire, save your material for another rainy day. Trim that off nice and close and flush. Beautiful. Alright, now for the flashback portion of this, I am using UTC's Mirage tinsel. This is a medium opal. It's really pretty. I really like the way it stands out. I don't spool this off. I've actually been working with a segment. I probably have upwards of 9-10 flies tied off of this one single piece, because you really don't use much. So I have my thread. It started here on the back portion of where I'm going to have my thorax. And what I'm going to do is I can take this piece of Mylar. I'll get one wrap on it. You always want to have at least 2 wraps if you're going to be sliding material under your thread and whatnot. So we'll see if we can't get this right back there. So without having to trim anything, I got a good couple bites on that. It's right about where I need it. And for a thorax, I'm going to use good old-fashioned peacock herl. Which way is this going? Get tied in this way. One thing I like but I don't like about my Regal Vise is this little material spring on the back. It works, but it doesn't. It's one of those things, it's a good idea, bad idea. So I'll get my peacock herl in there and run my thread forward to get a good bite on that. Just break that tip off. And we can palmer this on. And I use the same technique I did with those pheasant tail fibers. Just kind of push it down with your finger. Keeps things kind of clean and controlled. You just want to have control over your material that you're working with. It's one of those unwritten rules. You don't see that written in a book but call it an Aaronism. Always have control of your material. Alright, we'll lock this off. Couple nice tight turns. And instead of breaking that off, I will trim that off with my scissors. And let's see here, this one I want to come this way. And you can kind of fold those back and down and out of the way a little bit. We're not going to really worry about binding them down yet. Alright, I'll take my Mylar, set that on top, and I'm just going to do two reps to start and get under here with my bodkin, and I'm just going to give that just a little bit of air underneath there before I trim that off. One more nice tight wrap. Here we go. It's a beautiful thing. And now we can finish folding those 4 pheasant tail fibers back. And we're going to get a good amount of wraps up here behind the bead. Get all that material locked down. Run that back and forth just ever so slightly. And build up a little bit of a neck there behind the bead head. And we'll give this a couple turns on the whip finish. Trim off our excess thread. And this will trim the length of the body on either side. And for this fly, I am going to just use one little drop of this Feathercraft Head Cement Pro Lacquer type. It dries tough in seconds. How about it? So we'll get one little droplet on there. Not much. Not much. Because it soaks into that thread really easy. And there it is. There's our first fly of our double feature here. This is the pheasant tail, or Mercury Flashback Pheasant Tail. I wish it would get into focus. Maybe if I zoom in or zoom out. I apologize for the focus, folks. Maybe this next fly will come out a little bit better as far as viewability. I don't know why I think it's keying in on this corner here. Anyways, that is the Mercury Flashback Pheasant Tail. Mercury for the bead head, the flashback for the Mylar, and pheasant tail for the pheasant tail. So there we go. We add them to the pile. All right. So this next fly, it's a freestyle pattern. It's something that I've created on my own, based off of some inspiration of a few different flies. This is a material heavy fly. I believe, counting the hook and the thread, there's 11 different components to it. So give me a second here to grab the fistful of material for this. This is the last one I'm going to tie. I figured I'll save the last one here for the live stream. So anyways, uh-oh, there it is. Here is an early version. This would be just the lime one, but I'm calling these a lemon lime. It's tied up here on this weedless hook. It's a size 4 weedless hook. We're going to see if we can't back the camera up a little bit. There we go. All right, so there's a lot of different things going on here, guys. So we'll see if we can't not forget any of the steps. And I'm looking for one last, there it is, hidden back behind my backdrop whiteboard. Alright, so here we go. This is a lemon lime freestyle, everything in the kitchen sink, size 4 weedless hook. For a thread, I am using Danville's Depth Ray Neon Fluorescent. This is a nice bright green. Hopefully we'll be catching some attention. So every good fly begins but with a single wrap of thread. We'll throw a few of them on there. Get our thread started. Alright, and then the very first thing we're going to tie in is some more of this copper wire. And we'll just tie this in and get it out of the way. Lock that down. We're going to take this all the way back. And it's actually kind of funky messing with the brain with a hook up on this. I could tie a hook down, but you know, it's easier for me to work with and visualize with it being the way it's going to end up. Alright, to give this bad boy some weight to really help it keep it down, because I'm throwing a lot of floaty type material on here, I'm just going to throw some lead wire on there. This is 020. And again, you know, I keep this on the spool, leave it spooled out quite a bit. Lead's pretty easy to work with. And I'm going to go most of the shank of the hook. And usually once you get a few couple wraps on there, things tend to work out. And working on this nice big hook, you know, just I'm not pinching too hard with my right hand as I'm helicoptering this on. If I kept my fingers really tight on there, it'll probably snap off. A whole bunch of nice tight wraps of lead. I'm using the 020 because that's what I have. I'd probably recommend using something a little bit bigger. So my lead just broke right there. I'm just going to continue wrapping. This is all going to get covered, so you don't have to worry too much about neatness underneath. It's all going to get buried pretty deep. So a lot of good things happening this year. 2017 off to a good start there at the VFW. We have my Military Order of the Cooties pup tent number 62. We are the Crotch Crickets. We're doing a raffle. We are raffling off hockey tickets to go see the Minnesota Wild play against Colorado. I'm not a hockey person, but if I win, I will be more than excited to go. Interesting thing about it, the date of the game is April 2nd. And that day will always have special significance for me. I refer it to as my Alive Day. If you want to do some research, you can look up the little thing called the Battle of Abu Ghraib. All right. Got that lead in and secured. Let's go ahead and we're going to use this glitter eyelash night fire, kind of a puffy, funky chenille type of material. I got bored a little bit ago and had an old spool. This one was once copperware, and I just put it on there just for giggles and grins, and you know, keeps from wasting material, I guess. I don't know. So I'm going to tie that in here on the back half. And again, I can run that up a little bit. I don't have to worry too much about everything going all too crazy. But we're just going to tie this in. I'm going to take this all the way back between the tip of the hook and the tip of the barb. One thing I like about this thread is it's pretty tough. Pretty tough to work with. Alright, and I'm going to tie this just a little bit differently than I did. I'm just going to keep it the same. Anyway, I'm going to run my thread here, even with the tip of the hook. And I'm going to tie in some legs. I'm using these barred centipede legs. They are a speckled yellow, medium, size medium, speckled legs. I'm going to tie in a set of 2 on either side. And we'll just flip those over, get those on the side. There we go. That's one half. We'll do 2 more on the other side. And those lengths look about even. So keeping 2 on either side of the shank of the hook. I run my thread forward a wee bit, up here to just before the bend. And I'm going to take both sets and tie those in up front here. And I'm going to carry the thread forward. Because I'm going to take these legs and I'm going to fold them back. And really lock that down. I think it's a beautiful thing. Kind of want these rear ones to kind of go up and out, and these ones to kind of go down and away. I'm not going to trim them. Just going to go ahead and leave them long. So the legs are in. I need to take this glitter eyelash material. We're going to work this up the body now. And using my bodkin, I will work around these rubber legs. It's kind of a pain, but you know, I have the patience to work with it. And that's another thing, having it on the bobbin, I can let go and not have to worry about fighting it the whole time. So I'll start to bring it forward a wee bit. Been watching some other fly tying YouTube videos, and one of the guys European, and those Europeans, they sure like to say a wee little bit. It's nice having the different dialects. You know, I was watching this YouTube video the other day, and I want to say the guy was probably Russian, and you know, I can't understand a word he's saying. I don't speak Russian, but you know, it's fly tying. It kind of has a universal language. I mean, you know, we're all trying to speak the language of the fish. I mean, I'm just completely lost when it's, you know, trying to read the list of materials and whatnot. And I'm going to split those ones in the back, underneath. There we go. Run this all the way up here towards that neck. We'll lock this down. And trim off our excess. Couple more nice tight turns to really ensure this is locked down nice and tight. Wanna have a good nice bind in there. I might even give it a quick shot of glue. Yeah, he'll be all right. It'll be all right. Where is my little brush? This is my little magnet tip brush. I use it a lot for a lot of different things. Use it kind of tease out and get some of these fibers that are caught in and twisted and whatnot. And I'm going to kind of split it down the sides, left and right, because I'm going to end up with some material that's going in right on top. Right on top there. There we go. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. All right, here we go. We have our tail, which we are going to tie on. This is a olive barred Magnum yellow strip. This is some beefcake strip here. Let's see if we can get one little single piece out. I think this little one that I was working with must have been working with earlier. Get one strip out. Get back in there. I'm also going to throw the rest of these rubber legs back. You know, it's kind of hard when your bench is just an absolute mess. So for tail, I'm going a full length on this hook. I'm going to come back here, and do I have them? I do. We'll see how well this works. I'm going to just take some fingernail clippers. That works beautiful. And I'm just going to round off that back end just a little bit. Why not? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to go a full length on this from eye to the back of the bend. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the middle, and I'm going to pierce that Magnum strip. Get my copper wire ready. Get that off to the side and slide that straight down and lay that Magnum strip right here on this back spine, if you will. And I got really lucky as far as the length of this material. It's like it was almost planned. So lock it in here, a few tight wraps. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. You know, I'm just going to run my thread and park it up here by the eye just to keep it out of the way for this next step. This next step is kind of a crazy mess. I'm going to wrap a ribbing around and lock down this magnum strip. So I constantly am fighting the magnum strip and the fur, because I don't want to trap any fur underneath the copper wire as much as possible. But I do need a good solid bind on that. But you know, it's a pain to work with, but the end result on this will just be fantastic. Fantastic, I say. Alright, one full wrap on itself there on the back, and then we can start to work it forward with each wrap. I kind of just chuck it over there, let gravity park it down, and then come in here with my bodkin and run it parallel with that wire, and I'm able to just get next to it and tweeze out the material that might be trapped underneath it. Okay, give it a nice bind, run it forward a little bit. This is where having a nice bodkin can make or break your night on the bench. So once again, just kind of do a loose wrap on that. Get in there and tweeze that out. I'm kind of fighting having the camera, having my phone right in front isn't helping, because I'd like to come at it from another angle, but it is what it is. Here we go. And you know, if a little bit of material gets locked in there, I'm not gonna lose too much sleep over it. You know, it is what it is, right? It's a fly. It's for the fish. It's fish food. Anyways, gonna work this copper wire up, securing this magnum strip. Along the way, and you know, I'm just checking and making sure that, you know, I'm not trapping too much of this material underneath and pulling it down and around on the sides. That's the last thing I want to do. Almost here, almost to the front. You can kind of see how I just get in at the same angle, that copper wire, and I can just pick it out, tweeze it out. Doesn't take much. And I think this might be my last full wrap here on the front. Tweeze out that last little bit, and no sense of going through all that work just to lock it in the front. Alright, copper wire is ran through. And we'll take a couple of wraps forward. And we'll bind this off. This is not a sit down and smash a dozen of these out in an evening type of fly. But the end result on this is going to be absolutely beautiful. Beautiful as in it's a big old monster fly. So, yeah. Just checking here real quick to see if anybody, nobody's making any comments here in the comment. Leave a comment in the comment tray. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that share button. I think hitting that share button is probably the most valuable thing you can do for me. It has the the greatest impact. All right, next piece of material. It just keeps going on and on. Holographic Flashaboo Fire Tiger. I really like this stuff. I like the green, the yellow, and kind of the brass color components in here. So I'm just going to take a small sampling. This is a neat little trick that I've learned. You know, it kind of helps keep your materials neat and sane. Just use your bodkin or your whip finish tool or something. Tweeze a few strands out at a time. Let's see, how many strands do I have here? About-ish. There's 2, 4, 6, about 8 strands. And first I'm going to do is double them over. It's going to be beautiful. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm just going to go ahead and trim the ends on these off. It breaks the tension off, allows things to sit a little more evenly. Alright, for this I'm going to go about the length of the tail. I want this to run the whole length of the body. So I'm going to do one clump on this side, and we'll fish out another 8 or so strands. I'm not too critical. Yeah, it looks about good. Because I want this to be relatively prominent. I want it to stick out quite a bit. A little bit of flash. This is it's not an imitation pattern. Not really imitating anything here. And we'll line this up here on the other side. And we'll lock this all down. Things are getting kind of bulky there. It'd be a great spot to stop and finish things off and call it a fly, but we are not done. We are not done, my friends. Alright, so we got the ice, or the crystal flash on. And now, if we don't have enough material on there already, I am going to go for some of this golden brown ice dub. I think that's the one I want. I don't think any of these really responded to the UV. So I'm going to go for some of this golden brown. I think it kind of matches the Fire Tiger tinsel. And I'm going to be pretty thick with this. Usually when you're dubbing, less is always more. This is a big fly, and I don't want to be shy with the material on here. So I'm going to call this the neck. Just throw some ice dubbing here, up the neck to the top, where I'm going to start doing my head. But that just was not enough. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more. I'm going to do some red crystal flash. And on this one, here on the corner where my zip tie is. I just have the corner cut. And I can get in here with my whip finish tools. Work really good for this. You can kind of tweeze out exactly how many you want, or end up taking a big clump. But you know, just keeping it manageable. That's really the most important thing. I can, after I cut this off, before I put it away, I'll probably pull it out and slide it back in. So let's see here. Let's go for about 6 strands. 6 strands or so. And like everything else, I'm gonna double this over once. And for grins, just to take the pressure off of the system, we'll trim off those ends. And I am going to line this up here underneath. About to run even with the length of that glit eyelash material. Keeping here on the bottom side of this neck. Gonna wrap up a little bit, grab the rest of it, and fold it down. Get a good nice bind on that. I'm gonna run my thread forward to get it out of the way, out of the scissors, and trim that off. And I'm just going to come at here at a little bit of an angle, do a little bit of tweezing. I just kind of want the front to be a little bit longer, or a little bit shorter. There we go. Just to kind of trim the beard of it, I guess. Alright, get back here, and we're going to throw a little bit more ice dub over this head. Really throwing everything in the kitchen sink on this fly. Alright, so now I'm working on the top. And I do this kind of alternately 2 different ways. Let's see here. I have my, there it is. I'm going to do some hot chartreuse marabou. And this will be kind of my, I don't know if I want to call it the head or what. I don't know what I want to call this. This is a freestyle fly, my friends. This is kind of inspired by a multitude of different flies, different components, etc., etc. So on these, I am going to tie up on the sides. And I have the tip of the hook, and I don't want to go any further past the tip of the hook. So we'll call this the inside. There. And we'll tie in one on the other side. Here we go. Trim that off, and we'll trim this off. So that more or less has the sides covered. Really lock this down. Marabou has a tendency to be a little slippery at times. So I got that hot chartreuse on there. And now I'm going to cap it all off with some more Marabou. Since this is kind of the yellow bodied one with the yellow magnum, I also have some green that I also tied this in. I like the way that turned out. But above the chartreuse, I'm going to go a little bit shorter. No, about the same length on the top. Tie in one here on the top. Yep. And I'm going to tie one in on the bottom. There we go. Kind of a bear to work with, but the end result is just going to be absolutely fantastic. This will drive the bass nuts. I know it will. This is an experiment. It is yet to catch a fish. However, it has all the elements that I can think of that a hungry bass would just love to smash. Really build up a head here on the front. Lock down all that Marabou. And just to cap things off here on the front, I'll take one last little sprig of the golden brown ice dub, just to give it a little bit of personality up here on the front. Not much. Yeah, we'll go a little bit more. A little bit more. Really want it to. I want to stand this out. Catch that up there. Oh, this whole thing is coming apart. Got my marabous caught in there. We'll go ahead and try this all again. There we go. Get a nice tight dub and noodle on there. There we go. I like it. Run our thread forward one last time. We'll do a good whip finish on here. Just gonna throw a second one on there. If one's good, two's better. Alright, and for the head on this, I am going to use some UV clear in the thinness style. Get this all the way around on all sides here. If I get a little bit of that ice dub in there, that's alright. There we go. And a zap with the flashlight. Well, I don't think I had any takers tonight. I tied 2 flies. Nobody chatted in the chat section. Despite posting this on a few different Facebook pages, I don't know what to do. Maybe I should just focus the live streams just onto just strictly YouTube, or what? You guys tell me, what does the audience think? Do you guys like these talk and tie sessions? Are people watching them after the fact? I don't know. I need your feedback, folks. Hit me up in the chat section. Leave a comment below. Hit the subscribe button. So, there we have it. This is kind of my freestyle lemon lime monster bug. A little tweak in here with the tail. But yeah, I think this will serve well here next summer on the Mississippi, chasing some bass. I know they like legs. I know they like the glitter. I know they like rabbit zonker strips. They like things that are barred. They like chartreuse. We'll see if they like it. So, all right, I guess that'll be it, folks, for tonight. This has been a Veterans View for You Talkin' Thai live stream. Be sure to check out Season 1 videos. Check out the Fast Forward playlist. And you can always catch up on the live streams after they go into publication on the channel there. I'll just hit this with the UV flashlight. We'll see how that turns out. That turns out really, really bright. I like it. So, alright, folks, that's it for tonight. See you next week, 6 o'clock. Spread the word. Check it out. Set your calendars. Have a good night. Thank you.